Hey guys, ImSyrex here, and for this video, me and my friend decided to team up and we had 3 objectives. First, craft Onyx armor, which is more powerful than diamond armor and a lot harder to get. Second, defeat a stage 5 dragon, the most powerful dragon in the game. Third, eliminate the Myrmex queen, a giant insect that lives in her own lair surrounded by a horde of her guardians. Will we make it? Will we survive the 100 days? Tune in to find out. Having spawned into the world, me and my friend quickly shook hands. I started beating a tree to get us to some tools. But first I wanted to show you guys what an awesome mod we had installed. I crafted a wooden axe and started beating the tree, and as you can see it's insane because all trees break instantly. This made our wood gathering sessions a lot less tedious. We ate some apples to replenish our hunger, killed some cows, and made ourselves some stone tools for the journey. In the distance I saw what looked like a mining outpost. These were dangerous because pilgrims resided there, and they hit for a lot of damage. But it turned out to be a single tent with no one inside. I broke in from the side and we looted the chest, which had a lot of coal, iron, and even a stone sword with Unbreaking 2 enchant. Pillaging everything we saw, I almost missed a barrel, and inside there was a ton of food, which was really useful and saved us a ton of time starting off. Going further, we also see a big crevice in the ground. It was deep and we decided to jump in. My friend landed in the web safely, but I barely survived that fall. I mined some tin and made a bridge and continued mining. My friend then showed me that he found a tunnel with a chest inside. And inside was awesome loot. We found silver ingots and coal, but the most useful thing was the adventurous backpack. It provided me with so much more inventory space, and it would be a lifesaver later on. It was also getting pretty late, so to end day 1 I boarded us up in this little tunnel, set some furnaces to cook overnight, and went to bed. And on day 2 I made us some bread from the chest we found, cooked up enough ingots for a silver pickaxe and a tin chest plate. We were ready to dive deeper into the caves. And here is also me stacking my full inventory into the traveler's backpack. It's a pretty awesome and useful item. But venturing deeper I find another chest, and this one has an emerald and mithril ore inside. Fighting off skeletons, my friend tries eating some vegetation from the side of the cave, and it turns out we can eat it. But yeah, I mine more iron and find a chest with more stuff inside, and then get dropped to 2.5 hearts by a random skeleton. We then place all the mithril ore we found from the chests, and I use my pick to try and mine it. But it seems that doesn't work, so we have to smelt it. And because of that previous skeleton encounter, I decided to craft myself an iron tower shield. I don't know the difference between it and the normal shield, but yeah, hopefully it'll do the job. After some more mining, I fall into an opening which leads to a bigger cave. There are skeletons inside and they start attacking me. Then I continue gathering more steel, and from what I understood, steel is better than iron, so this was some good loot we were gonna craft ourselves. A horde of zombies then come out of nowhere and we defend ourselves. I get dropped to really low health, but we survive. I then come up with a brilliant idea to get another backpack, because why not? And the inventory space they give is just insane. And when I continue mining, I find mithril ore. This is really useful because our plan was to get full mithril sets to go into the nether. We got back to our base and I smelled all the mithril ore I got. And we make full mithril armor sets. Aside from diamonds, this is the best armor you can get from mining in the normal world. I craft myself another shield and give the spare one to my friend. And all geared up, we're ready for the battle. But outside we get attacked by a stimpoline bird. They can throw spikes at us, so we use our shields to cover from them. And in the distance I see a dungeon. It's in water, but this will be our first challenge. This is a chance for some serious loot rewards. And beside it I also spot a witch's hut. When going inside there's only a cauldron and a cat. So we venture forth into the dungeon. As we break the iron barrier, we find some beds to set our respawn points, even though we're in hardcore, and a chest with diamond boots and also an enchanted iron sword, which is an upgrade from my mithril because of its enchants. As we go deeper, I find a chest with a diamond shovel inside. I collect some bones, but the jackpot is when I find a chest my friend missed, and inside is a diamond pickaxe with Unbreaking 1. Then we find a skeleton spawner. After laying down torches on it, I find another chest. And deeper, we come across a horde of zombies with enchanted armor. I wouldn't want to go down there, so we disposed of them from afar. But going further in, we get attacked by skeletons, and I develop a tactic where my friend fights the creatures and I rush in to destroy the spawner. One of the chests has a golden apple, and that will be a literal lifesaver in a few days. As my inventory is getting full, I stack my items into one of the backpacks. With luck, we then find a room with an enchanting table and a brewing stand. I take it all, including the books, for our future enchanting area when we need it. And going deeper, we defeat a spider spawner. We get to checkpoint 2 by what I presume another cake and also a room with more beds, but this one has a spider inside waiting for us. But we decided to call it a day. I throw away the junk I don't need into a cozy fireplace, and we leave the dungeon by building up. As we surface, we see a strange building in the distance and decide to go and see what's inside. But on our way there, I see a cyclops, and these are like the most dangerous creatures in game. They one-shot you by picking you up and taking a bite. We devise a plan to dig a hole, trap it inside and explode him using TNT we got from the dungeons. This was a difficult task, but I had to go and get sand while my friend dug the hole. I crafted us more TNT and the hole was starting to look deep, but was it good enough to trap the colossal one-shotting monster? We would find out really soon, but first I had to craft my friend some ladders to get out. And we think of a plan on how to lure and drop him inside, because as you know, creatures don't jump from blocks. We devised a bridge which the bait would run across, and as the giant is running, we would collapse it, trapping him inside. And after a long time of searching for him, my friend bravely is leading him into our trap. But as he's running, my friend accidentally drops inside, but all according to plan, he climbs up using the ladder, and I quickly mine the dirt beneath the Cyclops. And we actually did it! We trapped the giant inside, but look how tall he still stood. The hole was so deep and he was still taller. That was insane. And although it was still dangerous because he could grab us, I started placing TNT blocks to blow him up. After the first explosion, he dropped only like 5% of his health, and I hope that'll help you understand just how beefy these guys were. Never minding the fact if they grabbed you, you'd be nearly one shot, even if you had full diamond armor. But continuing through the night, we dropped exploding TNT, and when it ended, we had to drop down a level to finish him off with our swords. As he died, I got an achievement named My Name is Nobody. Dropped down to loot, but found nothing, so in the end it wasn't really worth it. And my advice to anyone now is to just really avoid these dudes. They hit insane and they are tankier than an Ender Dragon. But climbing up and exploring more, we find a little hobbit hut made from dirt in the middle of nowhere. We set our beds and decide to sleep here. On the next day, we set off on finding the best place to build our base, and a couple of days after we found the place that was perfect. We will have an open playing field, close to a mountain with a cave opening, a pond, a forest, and also a dungeon temple nearby. I craft myself an iron axe, and we go deeper into the forest, finding big tall trees that will be perfect and will let us just get stacks of wood in just a few minutes. I start my base by first leveling the ground before this pond, and then build tall pillars which would guide us on the height and width of the house. We also decided to build really big mansion type of houses, so this really took a few days to build. We also got a lot of new blocks specific for building pretty cool houses, and one of them is, as you can see, the windows. And now I'm just finishing the roof. Everything is nearly done except for the interior. I opened up some windows to let the fresh air inside, and started decorating the base with all the necessities. And after putting everything in the chests, my pal came and I made him a house tour. This building bases thing was a little competition between me and him, so drop a comment down below on whose house is better. And checking his house out, he actually used an angled roof on his second floor with some new windows that could open up, so his design was definitely more modern than mine. But then he invited me to the basement where we put our first obsidian blocks for the Nether portal. We didn't have more than 4, so we decided to mine the next day for more. But for now, I crafted us both beds, placed them down, and you know, I kinda really liked his house, it was super cozy. But yeah, we both went to sleep. And on the next morning, I waited for him to come to my base, so that we would get ready for the next adventure. And our first objective was to clear the 2 huge buildings that were right beside our base, as when I walked through here before I was always attacked by pilgrims. And later in the distance we came across a giant stone statue of something on all 4s. It must have been some kind of wild beast. But suddenly we got attacked by a mining outpost that was run by the pillagers. They were really strong, but I managed to stay behind the fence and they couldn't reach me because of it. Inside was a chest with some coal and a crossbow, which was pretty nice as now I could have 2 loaded crossbows at once. But after even more traveling through the thick jungle, we come across a giant moss-covered mansion. It was one of the more difficult dungeons in game, so we decided to, instead of using the main entrance, go in through a cave opening we saw in the back. We also tried keeping our distance because soon in the video you'll see why. But any chest we found inside was empty. I found a weird iron door, but when I opened it, one of the guys popped up from nowhere and with one hit took me to 2.5 hearts. This damage was insane. There was just a cauldron inside, so we grabbed it and moved on. The mansion was huge, and when we came across another Vindicator, he took my friend's whole HP down with one swing. So while he ran away, I killed the mob. As we went up the second floor, we got attacked again, but we're ready to use our shields now. But while I was not looking, one of the Vindicators crept up from the back and took me to half a heart. This was not what I wanted, and after seeing absolutely no loot and these types of enemies, we broke the window and quickly got out of the mansion. And on the next day, when returning to our base, I fell into a puddle and heard a massive TNT explosion. When I got out, I saw that my friend's house was gone, and my house was covered in TNT. I also noticed guardrails, and at the end of them, there was a masked figure with half his body covered in something black. As soon as I saw him, he pushed the TNT cart into my home. All I could do was watch as it went inside my house, and a big explosion happened. When I turned to look at the evil monster again, he quickly ran away. We were heartbroken. Everything we've spent days to build was just gone, exploded by some masked figure. I saw an enchanting table in air and decided to at least collect it, but everything that I put in the chests was gone. As I was thinking about our next steps, my friend got so lost he decided to end it all right there and now, but I talked some sense into him. And after many days of exploration, coming out of a thick forest, we come across a lit lantern that led us into a cave. But as I go in, I fall into a crevice and a zombie lunges at me. I call my friend for help and we make it out. And venturing even deeper, we see a big crevice leading further into the cave. My friend experiments with a lava bucket and some water, but then just manages to get us one block of obsidian. As I finished mining it, we decided to go deeper into the cave by using water as an elevator. But as we hit the ground, I see adamantium and mithril ore, really valuable resources for our future endeavors. And we also finally find obsidian. It takes us some time to get all the blocks. And tired in the end, we decide to make our base inside the cave. With a mod we got installed, the caves, as you may have noticed, are really massive, so building a base here would be no problem as we got a lot of room. It's also temporary and only for a while we mine in the nether. But building the portal, we have two objectives in mind, and these are: get as much gold for golden apples, mine Onyx for the best armor in game except for netherite, and 3. Get all the necessary things for potions, as we will be needing them for the bosses we got up ahead. And as soon as we go into the nether, we are attacked by a straddler. We can't block his attacks and he does like a 1/3 of our health with every hit. We quickly take him down and move onwards. Our first obstacle is a slime spawner, and because of how many slimes there are, I can't get to it to break it and stop them from spawning, so I dig inside from an angle. And the loot is just what we need: nether wart for health potions and gold for apples. We then find a fortress, quickly digging to get inside and find shelter from all the mobs attacking us. We fight skeletons and blazes inside. Blazes are really important for us because they drop blazing rods, which can be crafted into powder to power the brewing stand. And going much deeper, we find a strider spawn and so much gold. I also find the Onyx, which we will use to craft some better armor later on. A strider and some pigmen then attack us. And I get to 1 health, so I decide to eat a golden apple I got from that dungeon nearly at the start of our journey, and it's a total lifesaver. And we proceed to kill a lot of spawners and mine a lot of Onyx for some time. And although the Nether was ruthless in everything wanting to kill us, there were some pretty places that allowed us to cool down and get our energy back. We also find some old ruins with chests inside. And inside I found a warped fungus on a stick. This could be used to control the striders, and only one thing was missing, and that was the saddle, which we actually got really conveniently after killing and looting the next spawner. And now I had a little pet in the Nether. I placed a marker on the map to make sure I don't lose it for whenever we decide to build a Nether base. And going deeper, I see a bone serpent in the lava lake. I shoot it and 2 bone serpents start attacking me. I manage to kill one, but all he drops is bones. As we go deeper, I fight a Hoggler, and just look at the damage he does. Shields don't protect against him, and the whole Nether is filled with animals like that. And as we venture on, my friend gets an achievement, Nightmare Fuel, and oh boy was that right. A giant insect latched onto him and he started sucking his blood. Then one latched onto me. It seemed we were in a forest area filled with them. But we kept on exploring and finding more spawners and chests. I even found a mithril helmet, which was a big upgrade from my steel one. We also came across these old ruined villages, and I don't know who could have lived in the Nether, so this was pretty interesting. We mined so much Onyx it just didn't end. And even came across a Nether dungeon, and there were pigmen on the roof, but skillfully jumping down, and there were even more inside. Thank God my friend blocked the staircase so they couldn't climb up. This looked like a Hoggler farm because of the cages for little pigs and also pigmen children running about. We also saw some ghasts in the distance and decided to train our aim for the upcoming big fights, and careless to say, we both sucked. But we decided to finish the Nether adventure there and head back to base. We had enough materials for a stack of golden apples and potions, and to end the day, we slept. I took out the blaze rods from my backpack and crafted a brewing stand because our last one got destroyed in the base. We made a water source to get our bottled water. And started brewing. When done, I gave my friend some potions, crafted 2 sets of mithril armor as well as some tools. We were ready to venture off. But before that, there was a zombie that somehow got to our base. It was fortified with torches, so we investigated where he came from. And found a spawner, but when I placed some torches around it, it blew up and a bunch of mobs spawned in. We fought them off. And when we got out, a zombie appeared out of nowhere. My shield blocked his attack, but that was very weird. Anyways, I decided to make an axe and try to chop one of these colossal trees down. but when I finally crafted it, the game said it exceeded a 100 block limit. So yeah, the big trees are bigger than 100 blocks. On our expedition, we came across a village. I rang the bell to let the villagers know we arrived, and we quickly went to bed as it was already pretty late. And in the morning, we found out that the village was beside a sea, so that was nice. Our next objective was to find a sunken temple and defeat an elder guardian for a wet sponge. But for that, we needed water breathing potions, and one ingredient was still missing, the puffer fish. But as I dove into the water with my bucket ready at hand, I saw an opening which looked like an underwater cave. And I thought it'd be pretty interesting to see what's inside. It was really pretty and a breath of fresh air from normal caves, as a cave underwater is something new to me still. But just as we were heading out, I saw diamonds. It was an insane stroke of luck, because if we didn't go down this cave while fishing for pufferfish, we wouldn't still have any diamonds. But as we were heading out, my friend nearly drowned himself and had to use torches to get fresh air. I also came across some black feral wolves, and because we were fishing here, I couldn't let them compete for our puffer fish. But with time, we got enough fish for our potions, and yes, it did take quite a lot of time, because they're so tiny, it's insane. And then I started brewing us a fresh batch of the blue. But because it got so late, we decided to postpone the trip by one day and sleep the night. And in the morning, I crafted ourselves 2 boats and we headed off. A few days out in the sea, I saw a strange rock sticking out, but once I got closer, I was enthralled by a siren. They're half fish, half human monsters that lure sailors into the depths of the ocean and rip them apart. So I did what any sane man would do and fought them off. My friend even helped from the distance with his bow. And a few days later, finally, in the water, I saw the sunken temple. As we both drank our water-breathing potions, we dived in and got to the entrance. And inside was a labyrinth of these guardians. Luckily, we had pillars everywhere to break their cone of vision, so one by one, we took them down. But as we went deeper, we finally found the Ancient Guardian. It was the final boss of this dungeon, but we had to be really careful as its rays were the deadliest. So I devised the plan of building blocking structures as we got closer for a proper battle. And once it died, we finally got the wet sponge, so we backtracked to the entrance and out of the temple, on our little boats back to the base. And on day 49, I searched the town for any bookshelves, as for now our plan is to enchant our gear and head off to fight a big dragon we saw earlier. I also found some horses that we'll later use to make our trip, as the dragon was really far away on a big mountain. And we gathered the bookshelves and laid them out for our enchanting table. We craft our gear in preparation for the big fight. And I also craft some gold apples. We gather wheat to tame the horses, armor them up and put our saddles. Now we're ready for the journey. But the horse didn't seem to go through the fence gate, so I had to quickly destroy it. And so we're off. The journey was long, and it took days to get to that location we saw the dragon in. So to keep our energy for the fight, we decided to camp on a nice place up on the mountain. I gathered some raw meat for the campfire, and while crafting it my friend leashed our horses to a pole so they wouldn't run away. We laid our beds, had a little chat, and went to sleep. And as we woke up, we got our beds and went off to find that dragon. The journey was long and the terrain was tricky. Dragons liked height, so we were really traveling on mostly giant mountains that reached the skybox. But at last, we found the dragon. We drank our fire resistance potions and went in closer. It was a stage 5 colossal beast, and as we got closer we saw it was resting in its lair. As we climbed up, we began attacking it, but the fight was fierce. Stage 5 dragons are the highest level and damage dragons in game. And he was so tanky, it took us a lot of time to bring him down. I had to eat gold apples just to survive, and he had an attack where he grabbed you, and if you didn't block, he would just delete any health you had. I was grabbed in that attack so many times, but luckily my obsidian shield was good enough to block him. And as I hit him the final few times, he finally went down. I got an achievement, Dragon Slayer. And as I hit him to collect his loot, he dropped so many dragon scales, tons of bones, and even an egg. This was stage 5 loot. And as we went in to loot the chests in its lair, we found a couple of diamonds, bones, ingots, but also I found a fire dragon steel axe that did 30 damage and put the enemies on fire. I gave the axe to my friend, and in the next chest I found a lightning dragon steel axe, and it sent a lightning bolt into my enemy one hit. The loot was awesome, but we had to get back to the village. It had an enchantment table and stuff to craft us the new armor and tools. I rang the bell once again to let the villagers know the dragon slayers were back, and got to crafting us 2 new brand sets that were absolutely OP. I also found a wither bone in my backpack, and that meant I could craft a dragon bone sword, because the amount of bones that stage 5 dragons dropped was insane. And soon we prepared to leave again. I gathered some wheat and we set off on our boats, this time to find the desert and defeat the final boss, a Myrmex queen. The journey on sea was long and we had zero luck finding a desert. And when we finally found one, it was time to find the queen's lair. This was the hard part, as it was supposed to be just a small hole in the ground. But while running, we saw a colossal structure in the distance. There was a zeppelin parked on the side, and we thought of what this could be, because this is something we never saw before. And as we got in, we were quickly overwhelmed by the mobs. They were really strong, and even in our new armor, we actually took some heavy damage. But when I opened that chest, the loot was otherworldly. There was a stack of diamonds, emeralds, and gold. But as we went through the dungeon, it started falling apart. My lightning axe started a fire, and we had to leap over the blocks and build new paths to continue traversing this dungeon. And because it was so huge, it was quite difficult not to fall. We had to climb the staircase, but my friend was not fast enough and got dropped. I kept putting out the fire while he built his way up to me. This was a race against time. And as we were making our way to the top of the colossal tower, the flames just engulfed everything below us. But as we made our way up, the loot just got better and better, and when we reached the peak, we started working with our bows to take down these strong foes from a distance. And the chests had just an insane amount of loot. This dungeon was the maximum difficulty, and the mobs that spawned were insanely hard and had a lot of health. Some were even riding other big monsters of some sort. The fire I started at Tower 1 was spreading. It completely destroyed the original tower and was starting to spread across the bridge to the other buildings we were still clearing. We had to make our way down the tower fast because the fire would just engulf everything if we didn't finish the dungeon quickly enough. This was a race to the bottom, and when we finally reached the ground floor, we started mining out of the dungeon, but when we got out, we got greeted by a typhoon type of enemy. As we brought it down, I looked at the mayhem we left in that dungeon, all the blocks burning, and just the sheer size of it was insane. But after days of traveling, I decided we needed to make a base because we had too many items to go into the fight with the Myrmex queen. Like, I had no space for potions. So I made a chest and put all of my rarest items inside, and I had so much emeralds, golds and diamonds, it was just insane. But we started building our base, and it wasn't anything like our previous ones. We learned from that lesson, haha, no more mansions. Even through the night, we didn't sleep because we were so busy making that base, so we had to defend it against all these types of creatures. But once we got the farm ready, I decided to be a little creative with our diamonds and emeralds, and we built a big statue of a man with a sword, which we later changed into a pickaxe. But once we were ready, we set out again to find the Myrmex Queen lair, and the journey was long. And once we saw a set of dragon bones just laying there, we finally understood that the base was close. These creatures are deadly and live in the sand, only coming up to feed on anything they find, and taking down a dragon should be easy pickings for them if they are in a horde. And finally at the cave entrance, once we started descending down, I felt the uneasiness in the air. But suddenly, I was swarmed by a pack of them. They had a lot of health, so it took time to bring them down. I also noticed I was actually taking some damage from them. But breaking the nest layer, there she was inside, the Myrmex Queen. I used my flame sword as insects had a weakness to fire, and we kept on beating her. I used my shield when she picked me up and threw me into the walls. Finally, with the last stroke of my sword, we got her down.